Alrighty, let's do a news of the day kind of thing because there's a couple other things going on, and then I can cover it and then say we got her all covered before we wrap it up for probably today. But we're not done. There's going to be other things that go on. There's going to be buyouts. There's going to be all this other wonderful stuff. So, uh, this is just the beginning. The cap is now set for next year. It's $81.5 million. That is $1.5 million lower than was expected. That's why we're going to see some more cap space deals and some cap shedding going on. It's going to make for a very interesting offseason. We're going to see who the really smart general managers are of the ones who are at or over the cap, because that is pretty low. They had expected a $3.5 million raise, and it said it's two, and it does mean that you're affecting your depth players. This isn't going to affect the stars. Star players get paid; they get paid just the same. It's the depth guys who end up either not getting a contract offer or they end up getting offered a lot less than they probably should. So we'll see what happens there. So Toronto Maple Leaf news: Andreas Johnsson, 4 years, likely 3.25 to 3.5 million a year. Kapanen, 3 years at 3.2 to 4 million. So it's either 6.5 to 7.5, somewhere in that region. I'll say 7 million for the two of them. And then there's Marner still out there, and term is the issue with Marner. So he wants a 5-year contract, the same they gave his buddy Austin, and they want him to sign a longer term. They're looking at max. They want 8 years out of him. So the teams like the longer contracts, the players don't. Things have really changed over the last 10 years in hockey. Now the players are saying, well, instead of having just that security, it'd be nice to have the ability to move in a few years, or 5 years I could move, right? So Marner wants the term, and the problem is this too. If you're negotiating with him right now, and you gave Matthews 5, you gave Johnsson 4, and Kapanen 3, why should he sign for 8? So that's really the question mark here, and that's where the sticking point is, and we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I would expect this to develop quickly, though. Marner either gets signed or something dramatic is going to take place over the next week. Minor trade to report that happened during the draft. It doesn't warrant its own video, but it's interesting. John Hayden finally traded by Chicago. I like John Hayden. I think a change of scenery should do him well. And John Quenneville goes the other way. So John one way, John the other. John Quenneville becomes a member of Chicago because you have to have a Quenneville in the Chicago Blackhawks organization. And it's good for him too. So both of them needed a fresh start, and now both of them get it. I hope they both turn it around, especially Hayden, who I liked quite a bit in his first call up with Chicago, at a time when I didn't like Chicago at all. And so I was kind of tortured watching this kid and going, man, he's pretty good. And now he's with New Jersey. So the Devils maybe come out of this weekend as the biggest winners. Alex Burrows is going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor, which is the ring of player names in Rogers there in Vancouver. And I knew they wouldn't retire his jersey. Ring of Honor is just fine, so his name and number go up there. A lot of it is going to be because of the era he played in and the goal against the Blackhawks in Game 7 in 2011. That is a famous goal. The Dragon's dead, all that stuff. It's a nice moment, and we'll have that. And of course, they're retiring the Sedin's numbers as well next season, which is the worst kept secret ever. As soon as they retired, we knew they were going to retire 22 and 33. And last but not least, we're in Nashville because Subban, who was traded for this guy, so Weber was traded for Subban. Now Subban's on his way to Nashville, and he's saying thank you to Nashville. What Nashville found out with Subban is what Montreal knew. Subban is a solid player. He's a fun defenseman to watch. He takes a lot of risks. You're dealing with turnovers, and at $9 million for a cap hit, it's high. It's high for Subban, and in Nashville's case, you have Ekholm, you have Ellis, you have Yossi. Those guys aren't going anywhere. It leaves Subban as the odd man out, so now he gets to go to New Jersey, and he gets to be the main guy, which I think he's going to enjoy quite a bit. Subban loves attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of star players that really enjoy attention, and he's going to get plenty in New Jersey, and I think it adds a little something to their blue line. As long as you have Subban paired with somebody who can help cover for his shortcomings, you're fine. So as long as he's paired with somebody who can cover for those defensive shortcomings, he'll play really, really well. And I think it was nice of him to record the message for Nashville. The only thing I wonder is, did he record it today or did he record it a month ago? Just kidding. But yeah, again, Subban, the obvious one to probably go, and we'll see how things work out for him in New Jersey. Big weekend if you're a Devils fan, right? This has to be the most exciting weekend, I would think, for Devils fans in a long time. So nice to see, and this is kind of how things work in the cap world, that the haves and have-nots kind of end up balancing out at the end of the day. So between now and the 1st, we'll have a bunch of other contract stuff to talk about and whatnot. But for today, this is it when it comes to news. As far as I can tell for right now, there will be more news, of course, tomorrow and beyond. But until we get to that, I think I'm done for today. Thank you guys so much for all your support and for all that. And I want to close out with one other thing, because I know there are Leaf fans that aren't happy that I pan the Marleau trade and I say the Miller trade's worth the risk. Toronto trades a player and the first round pick next year after they didn't have a first round pick this year. And when you start throwing first round picks like that, it can lead to an erosion of your talent pool in the minors. And I know how well the Marlies have been, but you need to always keep replenishing that top end talent in your minor league system, so that when guys become expensive and you got to start making salary cap decisions, you've got guys on entry level contracts you can bring in, and they can play well. And I do wonder if Toronto might be just thrown away tomorrow in place of today. And the other problem with that is that they haven't shown that they can win a Stanley Cup with the roster that they have currently. So the assumption that, well, it's going to be a really late draft pick anyway, so who cares? Maybe. Now, Vancouver, on the other hand, they haven't made the playoffs in 4 years. They kind of had to do this, and they desperately needed a top 6 scoring winger, and this was the price they had to pay. They're risky, but you know, the Marleau deal, and I understand people are going to say you don't get these done without the Marleau deal, but at the same time, I was not happy with the Marleau deal when it happened 2 years ago when he signed. I thought that was too much money and for too long, and I got a lot of flack then. So this is kind of a thing that happens, right? I'm going to get the flack no matter what. So there you go. Just my explanation for why I think one is they're both risky. I'm not going to lie, they're both risky. But if that ends up being a top 10 pick that went to Tampa Bay, then Benning's out of a job anyways. So it's highly likely that with the Aquilinis being as they are, they've said, look, you need to fix this. We've been out of the playoffs long enough. You've got a lot of good young prospects. You better get a team around them or we're going to find somebody else. Got to do what you got to do. And the price for Zucker apparently included Besser, so that's just a no. So it's an expensive price for scoring wingers in the NHL. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.